Why? Why in the name? Why in the name of John Cena? Why? Just when I think we're over this, just when I think we can finally lay this to rest, Ed Greenwood has to come along and decide, oh yeah, I'm going to use some Scott Steiner math too. Now, I assume there was some reason why Ed said this, possibly something to do with his very unusual relationship with Wizards of the Coast. I am, as far as I know, the movie didn't give him any credit. They certainly didn't give Gary Gygax any credit or Wizards of the Coast any credit for the creation of Dungeons and Dragons. So I seriously doubt Ed got any creation. But we do know that when it comes to the Forgotten Realms, Ed is the final say. So if Ed says the events in Honor Amongst Thieves are canon to Forgotten Realms history, then sure, they are. I mean, was there ever any question that they weren't things that existed in the Forgotten Realms? I mean, the main bad guys are the Red Wizards of Thay, who are my favorite bad guys in the Forgotten Realms. They reference Zastam, who, is the leader of the Red Wizards of Thay, and the third coolest? I don't think Acerasek is that cool. The second coolest Lich in all the realms, Vecna being number 1, Zastam being number 2, Acerasek number 3. I mean, that's a whole separate topic for a vlog, but let's face it, Acerasek's main goal is testing shit to see if it works so I can sell it to other people. I like to make dungeons. That's my goal. That's what turns me on as a Lich. I just like to build these things to see if they work. It's a whole separate topic. All right, so Ed Greenwood has come out and said that the events in the movie are canon to the Forgotten Realms. Sure, there's scenes in the movie that don't exist in the Forgotten Realms and never have existed in the Forgotten Realms, like a wizard that can cast cleric spells, but he could have been multiclassed, or more importantly, a druid that could turn into an owlbear, as opposed to a druid that could turn into any other creature, including a real bear. But nope, owlbear, because owlbears are cooler than normal bears or unicorns or any other creature that they could have actually worked with that a druid could actually turn into. No, they picked the one thing the druid couldn't turn into just to start a year-long argument. Now, I don't know why Ed said this again. I'm sure there's a reason. I'm sure it has something to do with his relationship with Wizards of the Coast or whatever, or, good old-fashioned Ben Franklin's. But before you get all excited out there, Veruca, before you start telling me how I was wrong, before we address the 125-pound elephant in the room that is Jeremy Crawford saying that nothing before 2014 is canon to Dungeons and Dragons or history. Let's actually read what Ed is saying here, because in taking a knee, Ed is in fact not really taking a knee. So before you get all on my case or Ed's case, let's actually read what Ed says, because it's very clever. So Ed has explained that he thinks the Honor of Amongst Thieves events can be incorporated into the extensive lore of Dungeons and Dragons. And how does he claim this is? Well, he specifically says that it's actually into the lore of Neverwinter Nights, and specifically into the lore of the Neverwinter video game series. And the events in the video game series and the events in Honor Amongst Thieves are related to each other. It doesn't necessarily mean the events in Honor Amongst Thieves and the events in the Neverwinter video game are related to the core Forgotten Realms timeline. Yes, there are things used in Honor Amongst Thieves that are lore in the Forgotten Realms, like Thurmberchard, the dragon, the Red Wizards, all the other stuff. But on the other hand, Forge Fist William, Hugh Grant, there's no way he could exist in the Forgotten Realms, because that name, Fritz William, doesn't exist in the Forgotten Realms. But Ed says, well, at some point in his time, his families could have come through a portal to the Forgotten Realms, because in the Flemish tongue, Fitzwilliams means basically your dad and your mom aren't married. Well, it means another thing, but I'm not going to say that word. But yeah, basically, your dad and your mom weren't married when you were born. So the last name Fitzwilliam doesn't exist. So in order to explain Hugh Grant's character, at some point in time, Hugh Grant's character's parents or grandparents came through the portal. Now, what does that mean? Well, I'd have to go into the whole history of the Forgotten Realms, and the whole long-term story of the Forgotten Realms is just part of the world that we've forgotten about, thus the name. So Ed goes on to say that it is very difficult to reconcile the canon of Forgotten Realms, things that he has said in the past that were 100% accurate. Now Ed's saying, well, I'm going to have to completely rewrite the canon in order to justify how the events in this movie happen in regards to the events in Neverwinter. But that's okay. That's again, because that's okay that Ed has explained that he has always given writers of the Forgotten Realms freedom to be inventive in the canon of the realms, because the narrators of the Forgotten Realms are unreliable. So any Forgotten Realms canon is unreliable, which means, sure, if Wizards of the Coast is making him say Honor Amongst Thieves is canon to the Neverwinter storyline, or specifically Ed wiggles rooms his way to say, well, actually just to the storyline of the video game and to Neverwinter, but maybe not to the realms in whole, because the narrators of the realm are unreliable. Clerics are unreliable. They lie to the people, maybe not knowing they're lying to the people, but remember, clerics get all their information from the gods, and the gods lie to the clerics, and the gods lie to the people all the time. This is one of the many canon story aspects of why the Time of Troubles happened, because the gods were lying to their followers. The gods were not doing their job. Elminster, who is basically Ed's representative in the Forgotten Realms, Elminster lies about everything. Everything Elminster has said is pretty much might be a lie. So if Elminster is the end-all be-all of narrators, well, according to Ed, Elminster lies all the time. Volo lies all the time. He even admits that he lies all the time. Volo openly admits he makes stuff up. Now, if Volo is the other narrator of all events in the Forgotten Realms, Elminster and Volo being the two main narrators, and they lie, well, then everything you read about the Forgotten Realms or experience in the game is written in quicksand on a stormy beach with the tide coming in, which means, the only canon that exists in the Forgotten Realm is what Ed originally wrote. Everything else is up to you whether it's canon or not, because you could run your game one way and I could run my game a different way, and she could run her game a different way, and there are events that happen in your Forgotten Realm game that might never happen in my Forgotten Realms name, and then those events might happen in her game, but then she might incorporate something from a completely different module series, like, I don't know, Giant Slayer or something else. So the Forgotten Realms is unreliable. The history of the Forgotten Realms is unreliable. The canon of Forgotten Realms is unreliable. The canon for Forgotten Realms, and specifically Neverwinter, and specifically Neverwinter the video game, are all unreliable. Therefore, even though the movie is canon, it's not. Because once again, nothing before 2014 is canon. Nothing before 2014 is official. Nothing after 2024 is official. I mean, before 2024, it's 5E 2014 and 5E 2024, completely separate. Forgotten Realms is all unreliable, which means Ed is taking a knee and saying, yes, Honor Amongst Thieves is canon, by not taking a knee and saying, no, it's not canon. If you want it to be canon, it's canon. If Wizards of the Coast says, yes, Honor Amongst Thieves is official, it happened in the official, because we officially signed off on it, even though we're not given any credit to it, nor Gary Gygax, no mention of him in the movie or in the credits. Ed Greenwood, no mention of him in the movie or the credits. Wizards of the Coast, no mention of them in the movie and the credits, unless I'm wrong, but that's what I've been told. But sure, Honor Amongst Thieves happened. Honor Amongst Thieves happened in the Forgotten Realms. We know that because there are characters in the movie that appear in the Forgotten Realms, specifically the Red Wizards of Thay, my favorite Forgotten Realms bad guys. And Zastam, who is the second coolest Lich in the Forgotten Realms, Vecna being first. But in regards to its being canon, well, if the canon of the Forgotten Realms is unreliable, then there is no canon in the Forgotten Realms, because the only canon, as averse to official, is what exists in Ed's head. But if you run it and say, no, the events in Honor Amongst Thieves never happened in my take on the Forgotten Realms, well, that's canon for your take on the Forgotten Realms, because the Forgotten Realms is being written by unreliable narrators. Elminster lies, which means Ed lies, which means everything I just said you should take with a grain of salt. And we get back to circle number 1, which is nothing that is canon to Wizards of the Coast product line, unless it happens in your specific game. What goes on at your table is canon to your table, and that has nothing to do with any other table. There is no official canon written in stone storyline. It is unreliable. The only canon is what happens at your table. We don't care. That wasn't Elminster. Everything's Elminster. Ed is Elminster. Ed is not Elminster. You have a 33 and a third % chance of winning this match, but if blah, 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 yeah, it's basically Scott Steiner math. Ed has decided to embrace Scott Steiner math by taking an E, and in taking an E, he chose not to take an E by using the same excuse that everybody else is using, going, hey, it's canon in your game, or it's not canon in your game. Unreliable. Suck on that. Till next time, I'm the OG GM. If you appreciate this nonsense, let me know. If you never want to hear me talk about this ever again, let me know, and I will again. Hey, no mention of Gygax or Ed in the credits, guys. I mean, come on. I don't want to watch the movie. If I had no other reason to not watch the movie, that wouldn't want to watch the movie, because it's just no mention. See ya.